My biggest fear isn't failure, it's not losing my job, it's not being able to not provide for my family, it's not even dying. My biggest fear is being irrelevant in my kid's life. And if you're a dad watching this, which you probably are because I am targeting you, I bet you felt the same fear that I'm feeling right now. Let me go ahead and explain um, what keeps me up at night. See, my parents and sisters and I, we're all very lucky because we live in the same city. We've lived in the same city our entire lives. We've always had the convenience of being able to be so close to each other with just a drive away. Drop a comment if you and your family live in the same area too, because that's something so beautiful and yet a little terrifying sometimes when, depending on the closeness and how you guys are in a relationship. But here's the selfish part: is that I can't imagine any of my kids moving away. I've never had to have that feeling of being able to have to miss someone for a very long period like that. Am I the only one that feels like that guilty feeling where your kids moving away would be like one of the worst things that could ever happen to you? See, this fear hits me constantly, and when I see other dads who work for themselves, who are home with their kids during that day, maybe those dads are better than me. That's sometimes the way I feel because sometimes I wonder if my kids feel that same way, if those dads are better than me because their dad found a way to make more time than I did. So when I'm missing church, missing holidays, missing these big moments because of work, I can see it in their eyes. They don't complain about it, but they do notice it. Like, let's be honest, like we all know how smart kids actually are. Tell me, have you seen that look before in your kids' eyes that you can just tell like they're very disappointed? I feel like every failure I've tried, it creates more stress in my life and it reinforces this fear that like something like that's going to happen. All these side hustles that I've tried, they just don't work out, and it's a constantly fear I have of my kids feeling that way with me. But here's what really keeps me up at night. This is something I think about so much, is that someday they're going to grow up, they're going to move away, they're going to be successful, hopefully, they're going to build their own lives. And I want that. I want them to be successful, spread their wings, and I mean, that's what good parents want. That's a definition of being a good parent, is if your kids can do something like that. But I know when that happens, I'll feel this emptiness in my life, and I will feel maybe irrelevant in their life, and I hate to feel that way, and I hate to say that because I know that is selfish, very selfish thing I mean to say. Uh, Bad Jesse. So tell me, don't are you awake at night sometimes? Do you think that those same thoughts? I'd really like to hear that, because what I really want for them is to be able to know that their dad's always there for them. That they'd be willing, that I would do anything for them. That they are motivated to be successful in life, and that they feel loved by their dad and by their mom, and that all this hard work that they work on, they can always call home to their parents. And I want them to be like how I feel like with my dad. I can call my dad at any moment, and I feel like he would talk to me about any problems I have, and I want my kids to be able to have that same kind of feeling towards me. And granted, I don't have these deep talks like I do right now on YouTube, but I know my kids and I are going to have this deep connection, and I want my kids to stay around and be able to talk to me about anything in life, whether that be any kind of relationships, any kind of problems that they have in anything in life, because there's so much stuff out there. But when I'm gone 12 hours a day, I don't know how I can build that relationship. I see other dads out there; they seem to have it all figured out, and I wonder, like, am I failing them? Am I failing my kids? Because am I gonna be that guy who worked a lot and had that story of becoming great and never worked out? That's my failure right now. But I always think positive, like I've said, and I'm not going to let that deter me. I'm going to keep focusing on what I can control, and I refuse to let society and everything else steal my relationship from my family and from my kids. That's something that I'll never get back as our time. So someday when they do move out and they build their own families, I want them to be able to call me, not just because they have to, but because they want to. I want to be the go-to person, the person they call for advice and any kind of celebrations. Oh, let's call dad. He's the first person I want to talk to. He'd be so excited. So, what's your biggest fear as a father? I'd really like to know, because I think we are all carrying these fears, but sometimes we don't say it out loud, and it feels great to actually talk about this out loud. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. So, hit that subscribe button. And we're not done talking about all this real stuff, guys. There's so much stuff to talk about. Tomorrow, I want to share something that's even deeper on my heart. It's something that I keep thinking about in my mind, and I think it sabotages me on why I can't be successful. And that's something that's really holding me back, and it might be beneficial to you too. So hopefully talk to you soon.